I think in every family there is some form of domestic abuse, and it's not that help is not available. It's their emotional barriers, it's the barriers of this society. This society is not comfortable for a victim to come out and talk about it. The thing about perpetrators, this is what we call abuse person in cases, they have two faces, right? The face that they show to the society and the face that they show to the victim. There was mass immigration. Yahako society didn't know how to deal with us. We didn't know how to deal with Yahako English society. Like everyone does who's in depression. I denied it. First of all, just accepting that you're going through such emotions and that you're depressed is such a huge thing.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't recognize when it's happening to them. I didn't.
Damn.
Hello and Namaste, this is Dinesh from Inspire TV and you're watching the Inspire podcast. The goal of this channel is to educate, empower and inspire you to make a positive change in your life. It's to encourage you to grow, to follow your passion, to give back and to live the life in your terms. Our guest today is someone who's been involved in social work for quite some time. She currently works as a healthcare assistant and a project leader for Clear Project. Previously, she was known as the Nepalese Domestic and Sexual Abuse Advisor, and she was also the Vice President of Naya Yuva, a non-profit organization. During her time at Naya Yuva, they won the Queen's Award, which is the highest national award that any non-profit voluntary organization can win. Not only that, they also got invited to a Queen's Tea Party at Buckingham Palace. It's my absolute pleasure to introduce you to this strong and incredible woman, Mina Pun. Mina, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. That was a long introduction.
There's so much I want to talk to you about. So where should we start? I know. We should probably start with that tiny little Mina that came into this earth, or this world. So tell us, where were you born?
I was born in Hong Kong, but then I didn't really live there. I probably lived there for 6 months of my life, and then I moved to Nepal, and then probably went to school. Well, I went to school in Nepal until I was 12. Then I lived in Brunei for 2 years, then in Nepal, then here. So as all military child do, I lived 3 countries. This is the 3rd country I've lived in. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so, where did you grow? Where did you grow up?
I would say mostly in Nepal. The 2 years in Brunei was quite memorable. I learned a lot there as well, especially because it was my first time living in a camp with Rai Limbus. Okay. So that was when the first time I met Rai Limbus. Apart from that, I had never come across them. I live in Pokhara, and I went to school with Newars, Wangars, Gurungs, but I hadn't actually come across Rai and Limbu. That's surprising. So Brunei Mache, that was the first time I met Rai and Limbus, and I had best friends, Rai Limbu best friends. So it was quite memorable. Then I went to Nepal, and then that's when the whole Gorkha settlement case happened, and we all got rights to settle here. So my parents had actually come to UK a couple of years prior to that case settlement, because I remember them having to come to the UK and then actually apply through lawyers to actually get settlement for themselves. And then a couple of years later, we actually won the case as a mass class suit, I think. Mm-hmm. And then I came over. So I've been here since I was 18.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, like your parents probably talk about it, or maybe your relatives, like, Mina ta sano hunda yasto थियो usto थियो भनेर. So what were you like when you were little, like, as a child?
I think I was pretty much like what I am right now. They will probably know me as a stubborn woman. I think bachadekhi nai I was very stubborn, as in stubborn not in a bad way. I was maybe a little bit. I've matured now. I have matured a lot. I was quite stubborn when I was a child, but I think त्यतिखेर चाहिँ अलिकति immaturity थियो अनि अलिकति immature, stubborn, like रिसायो भने रिसाई गर्दिने for a long time. But I was always stubborn in my ways, as in केटी मान्छेले यस्तो गर्नु हुँदैन भने I would stick to my own guns भनौँ न अब, like no हुन्छ नि किन गर्नु हुँदैन. Like I still remember बच्चा हुँदाखेरि क्या ममले छोरी भएपछि घरको काम गर्नुपर्छ भन्दाखेरि I used to turn around and say छोरी मान्छेले निदामा लेखेर आएको हुन्छ र घरको काम गर्नुपर्छ भनेर, त्यस्तो टाइपको. So I was very as my mom says मुखाल्नी, somebody who answers back a lot. But I think over time अहिले चाहिँ I guess I've learned to use my stubbornness in the right ways.
In a positive way.
Yeah.
That's good. So when you were at school, or your teenage years, especially in schools, like, were you involved in any particular group or any specific, were you interested in any specific thing?
Oh God, a lot. As a child, I was an overachiever. I wanted to be first in the class all the time. I wanted to take part in every sport there was. So long jump, and high jump, I have never been able to jump. Like, if you see me jump, you will know why.
So you were into sports mainly?
Yeah, I was into sports, and then debates. Luckily, I wasn't into poem. I don't think I would have done anything good in poetry. But debating, spelling competitions, everything of some sorts. Like, people, like my teachers used to always encourage me and like push me forward. And I never used to say no. I was like an overachiever. I was like, मैले नै गर्छु, हुन्छ नि, मै राम्रो छु टाइपको थियो भनौँ न. And I think that did harm me later on in my life, भनौँ न, as expectations rose. Yeah. So.
Did you always, like, when they know early in their life what they want to do when they grow up? Did you know what you wanted to do, like, when you were little?
Now that I don't think I knew what I wanted to do. I think बच्चा हुँदाखेरि मम बाबाले के हुने भन्दाखेरि डक्टर हुने, इन्जिनियर हुने यस्तो भन्थ्यो नि त. अनि yeah, I used to say I'll be doctor by this age, हुन्छ नि, I'll be doctor, I'll have a career, by this age I'll have a couple of babies, I'll be married, da. And then as adult life took over, everything went away. Life threw a lot of things at me, and as it threw things at me, I had to improvise, and I had to I guess adapt with things. So, but I don't think I still know what I want to do properly, like, in life. I don't know.
Okay. So you came to UK when you were 18. So when was that?
2006.
2006.
Yeah.
So now you're involved in a lot of social work and voluntary. How did you become interested in volunteering and social work?
Volunteering and social work चाहिँ बच्चादेखि, like, I think everyone thinks, I think I'm born to do something special. And you have that special feeling in your heart. I know, because a lot of people talk about it. But I think very few of us actually go into and put it into action. And then I was one of those, fresh off uni, all I knew was going clubbing, earning money and all that. And then I got into this job, domestic and sexual abuse advisor for Nepalese clients. And then through that,
when you say you got into, was it like a accidental thingy, or did you actually plan?
It was an accidental. It was a beautiful accident, I would say, because I wasn't even planning into going into it, because I had a very special attachment to this issue, because I've seen it growing up in our society. I would be lying if I said my family wasn't affected by it. I think in every family there is some form of domestic abuse, and I had a special connection to it. And then when this job was being emailed around, my friend emailed me this job, and she was like, have a look into this. I think you might fit into this one. And at that moment, what I was doing was I didn't want to go back to studying. I didn't want to. I think office job was my biggest fear, having tied down to a job 9 to 5. That was my biggest fear, and I really didn't want to go into it. And then my friend was like, it's a 6 months job. Why don't you go into it? I looked at it, and then the job description was like something that I really it caught my attention, and I felt like I was in sync with that job. So I applied for it, and then I went to an interview, and then they told me the same day that I got the job. And I thought, I'll stay in 6 months, I'll do what I can, and then I'll probably move on. And then I went in, and then I fell in love with the job. So I was like, hang on a sec, I didn't think I would love this job as much as I do. And plus, when you're actually seeing the results of how you're affecting lives, especially in office, Citizens Advice. I don't know whether a lot of people know about Citizens Advice. It's basically an office where you go for free confidential advice, and it could be about any matters. Whatever we can help with, we will help you with. And it's always free. And when you are into the office and when you come across so many issues that your colleagues are dealing with, to things about divorce or things about writing a will, to small things like how to deal with energy or how to deal with debt, everything like that. And then I thought, because I always craved for more knowledge, and when I went in there, this office was the perfect environment for me to learn so many things about so many various topics. And I was like, hang on a sec, I think I love this office, I love this job. And it wasn't like a formal office space. Like it is an office, but we are encouraged to wear casual clothes so that people who come into us, like they find us more approachable. So when they see suits and ties and everything, I think it feels cold to clients. Okay. So when the type of clients that come into us are like people who could be homeless, people who could be vulnerable, or
is that
people,
part of your as advisors of domestic and sexual abuse?
It was not, but I chose to be, because I had when I didn't have cases, I used to help out in the office, so I did deal with a lot of issues like that.
So you're known as the Nepalese domestic and sexual abuse advisor. Now you've already told me a little bit about the role itself, but when you had cases, what did you go to people's house and then investigate and things like that?
Investigation day, I was not allowed to directly get involved in investigation. My job was to advocate for the victim. So what it entailed was, when a client came into me, so I think before I go into what my job entailed, I think it would be a lot easier for people to understand if I told you how it came about. So this job was originally a voluntary job. So before me, Pushpa Didi hununthyo. She volunteered to help out Nepali domestic and sexual abuse victims, because a lot of victims that came into the office had language barrier. They did not understand what was being said to them, what help was being offered to them.
Yeah.
And plus, even if they were offered to them, they couldn't fully comprehend what the extent of help they were giving them. So to fully utilize those, and to actually, which is quite important to get out of the abusive cycle, Pushpa Didi volunteered to help them out as that bilingual advisor in between the agencies that were offering them help and the victim who had the language and the cultural barrier. And so our managers thought, hang on a sec, there is need in this community for this type of help. So they applied funding, and we got funding for 6 months. So that's when I came in.
Okay.
And then it got so much attention in those 6 months that the police commissioner, who is the highest police officer in the bar, he got involved and he said, I want to give you funding for 18 more months. So it got extended for 18 more months. And it's still there. Like Aliza Bini, I left the job after those 2 years. And
Any particular reason that you left?
Being me, I cannot stay in one place and
for too long.
Yeah, for too long. I have to be. I am a very curious person, and I crave for knowledge. So if I think that I've learned and contributed enough in one place, I have to move on to another specialty. So that's why if you look at my work history, I have done so many things, from customer advisor to healthcare assistant to now project leader for this Clear Finance project, to domestic abuse. And it's quite important because I was always that kind of person. I think I have always aspired to be a jack of all trades rather than a master of one.
Right.
So, and I think I have developed adaptational skills because whichever job I go to, I have transferable skills. I also go around and look at my colleagues, and it's perfectly their choice to stay in one job and be like a special, and be develop their skills in that specialty, which is
become
okay.
An expert.
Become an expert on them. But when I think about it, like, life is not just one specialty, is it? Like, life maamle, we have to deal with so many issues, like our laws or baira goira, and so many issues. Like, it's not just health or law or this and that. We do encounter a lot of issues like that. And then I have always found it easier to handle these various issues because I have actually dove into those issues and actually learned a little bit about all of them. So I find it quite easy. So I've always been an advisor to my colleagues as well about certain things.
Like, domestic and sexual abuse is a very sensitive subject, and we don't talk about it, we don't discuss it as often as we should. Especially in Nepalese communities, it's very quiet. And we know that it's happening. What kind of challenge did you face in that particular role on a day-to-day basis when it came to?
Oh God. Challenges the thuprai cha. There are so many issues that it was an eye-opening learning curve for me as well. Because when I first went into the job, I was like, cha samajma, but I did not know the extent of abuse that was happening. Especially UK ma, when you think you're in a developed country like this where there is help available, where 999 call is just one call away. But it was quite sad because victims ko chai ke huncha bhane ki there's so many barriers for them to actually seek help, and it's not that help is not available. It's their emotional barriers, it's the barriers of this society. This society is not comfortable for a victim to come out and talk about it. I'll give you an example. This victim that I knew, she wasn't my client, but this victim that I knew, it was openly known in the society that he had abused his wife and daughters, and they even went to court. But the day, and he was even charged for it, but the day he got, like, the victims decided to step away from him, it was the day that his society I think presented him with a khata or some sort, for something else. I think he achieved something, or So when you think about it, like, that society knew what kind of person he was, especially because that case was so public. But they still chose to go ahead and give him that khata. And it was, and when you think about it, it's like it shouldn't be that way. But I guess it takes a lot of effort to actually bring change in this society.
It is hard. It's interesting when you said, like, it's not that service or facilities are not available. It's just emotional barrier. When I was right now I'm training for to volunteer for Samaritans. And one of the story that they keep repeating is one of the person that used to work there, she's now like head of something. And when she went through depression and had some suicidal thoughts, she called 19 times. She called Samaritans 19 times before she actually spoke. So every time she called, she hung up. She called again, she hung up. And the 19th time, she was finally able to speak. So I think emotional barrier is like so strong.
It's a lot. And you do get a lot of blank calls like that. And think Samaritans is, I think, for people who don't know, Samaritans is basically run by volunteers. It is run by volunteers. They sit next to a telephone, and then when people call and they listen to their stories, you don't have to
give advice.
You don't have to give advice. You don't have to. Plus, the victims who call in don't have to give their names or whatever.
Very confidential.
When they actually call, they can just start talking about their feelings. And the whole idea behind that is that, मन दुःख बाँड्यो भने हल्का हुन्छ भन्छ नि. And you get better at dealing with things and your emotions the more you talk about it. And when you talk about it with people who you trust, I think Samaritan is mostly probably for people who feel that they will be judged if they spoke to their close ones. And I think that's quite a good service. A lot of people, if they don't know where to start or who to talk to, and if they want to talk to somebody anonymously, just get it off your chest. And Samaritans ma call gan, and they're very good. They're even trained, and most volunteers that are in Samaritans have been in that situation before, so they fully understand what you're going through.
The training is so like
intense.
Yes, it's like I don't know how many hours. I'm on my on Monday is my second training, so we'll see about that. What was your biggest lesson from that experience working as a domestic and sexual abuse advisor?
Biggest lesson, I realized, I think I went into the job a bit naive. I thought, domestic abuse, that's bad, everybody knows. Obviously, I think people, when people know about it, I think people will be more accepting towards victims. Obviously, I think I went into that job having naive thoughts like that. And when I got in, it was completely different. People knew that their close friends or, that such things were going on behind there, but they were not actually, I wouldn't say confrontational about it, but they weren't addressing it. And I found that quite saddening and shocking, because one of my clients, I knew her husband before I knew her. And I'll call him Dai for explaining purposes. That Dai, I knew him before I knew my client. And he was the most understanding person I've known. And he's a little bit older than me, but growing up in a society like ours, like in a patriarchal society like ours, I thought he was very understanding towards equality. I thought he was very understanding towards women issues. And the way he spoke out to me and the way he spoke to us, it definitely felt like, oh, we need men like you in our society going somewhere. And he's somebody who's quite involved in voluntary sector as well, and he gives lots of donations, involved in lots of society. A lot of people know him as a very kind person. But the thing about perpetrators, this is what we call abuse in cases, we call them perpetrators. But the thing about perpetrators is that they have two faces, right? The face that they show to the society and the face that they show to the victim. The face that they show to the society is their defense. So they will make them as nice as they can. You will find that people will be like kind towards others, very voluntary, donate karne, and all that, very involved in society, club activities.
It's like wearing a mask.
Yeah. But the thing is, that's the defense that they put up, so that when his victim comes out and says to society that I have been abused by this person, he will be confident that the society won't believe the victim. That's one of their tricks, and it's a known trick. In our job sector, it's a known trick. And I knew when the client came into me, and I saw, because we get that case was given to me by the police, so I looked at the file, and I saw the perpetrator's name and address, and I was like, I was shocked. And I still rechecked it again and again. I said, is this the person? And they were like, yes. So I was quite shocked. And when the client first came into my office to see me for the first time, I was fully clear about my relationship with her husband. I said to her, I know Dai, we have good friendship, and if you feel like I can't be impartial to you, if you feel like my relationship with him will affect you in any way, if you think I'll be biased towards the advice and advocacy that I give you, I do not mind you walking away, but I would love to help you, because I don't think I will ever be, biased towards somebody because that person, I knew that person. And she believed me, and she took my help. And we actually it was a very good outcome, because I helped her through a divorce. We went to court, we helped her through divorce, and it was a very good result. And the things that went through, like, you would feel disgusted to know about the person, and you see the other side of him, and you're like I have spent evenings with him, drinking together, eating together, singing together, and I never knew there was this side to him behind closed doors. And these kind of things were shocking, and after a while it didn't become shocking to me, because I would always come across perpetrators in the society. It's such a small world. Jata gaye pani eventहरुमा गयो भने I would see them, and I would later find out that, oh, maybe I may be related to them, I know them, and I even like my last contact with the perpetrator was day before yesterday. He had come into my neighbor's house, and I didn't even know that person was related to them, and to see them, and it's a bit more uncomfortable for me, because I have received threats before from perpetrators, over the phone, while I was helping someone, and it's quite uncomfortable, but it has to be done. You can't help it. It has to be done. Somebody has to do it. So yeah, it's shocking though.
Yeah, it sounds like a very interesting experience, especially the threat. Yeah, that must be challenging. Let's move away from this topic of domestic abuse and sexual abuse, and move into your volunteering, experiences, especially Naya Yuva. You were vice president,
Vice president, right? Yeah.
Tell me about what Naya Yuva does, and like what's the aim?
Naya Yuva सुरुमा चाहिँ it started in 2010, and it was started by a group of people. There's Mama, there's Bazdai, who's a police officer now, and there was Sheila, who was the first president, Ani, Monica. There were so many of them. A group of youths who wanted to make a difference to the society. And that emerged from the idea because, there was a lot of tension, racial tension happening in our local community, especially Rashmama, because there was mass immigration. Yahako society didn't know how to deal with us. We didn't know how to deal with Yahako English society. So they decided to be the bridge between those two communities and try and calm down the racial tension by, doing a lot of things, activities that would help each other understand about each other's cultures. And I think they were quite successful because a lot of things got reduced because of those activities, And there were workshops where English youths and there were workshops where the English youths and Nepalese youths came and did things together, and a lot of projects started from them. And then that sort of continued on. And Naya Yuva got recognized by the local government as well. And we thought this was actually quite nice. So now it's evolved into getting youth to volunteer and it's more about civic participation, to getting youth to volunteer and represent their community in the local English community, because I think representation is quite important, because we don't see people of ethnic minority in, in councils, in meetings where laws or local laws are formed, or where councillors actually seek advice from the community about what should be done with funds, what should be done around the community, what kind of things should be introduced. The councils are the advice the maksanta, but if it's a lot easier for people to sit at home and say government le ta kehi garदैन हाम्रो ethnic minority ko लागि, and it's a different thing to go and participate in those meetings and actually tell them that, look, our Nepalese society is like this, we are facing this kind of problems. Like, it's उनीहरूलाई भन्न भनेसम्म त they won't even know हाम्रो Nepali society कस्तो खालको छ, what kind of problems we go through it. उनीहरूलाई भने पो त अब if you don't ask, you're not going to get. So it's more about getting the youths into representing their community and giving a voice to them and also to the Nepalese community in the local government. So yeah, it's all about that now. And raising funds for charities. We support various charities all over the year.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you guys won the Queen's Award, which is just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
What did you guys have to do in order to win that award?
We didn't actually have to do. Somebody nominated us.
Right.
I think it was, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Trishna, who used to be the vice president before me. We got nominated, and all we got was a letter saying, the judge or whoever was in charge of looking at our activities and whatever was gonna come and meet us. Mm-hmm. So there was Sheila, the first president, me, and Trishna, the vice president before me. We sat down with her and we told her what Naya Yuva had done in the past and what we were trying to achieve in the future and what we were doing currently as well. And she was quite impressed. And we weren't even hoping, because we were nominated the year before as well, but we didn't get it. And we weren't that hopeful. We were like honestly, we were fingers crossed. We hope win this time, but we thought, because it's a national award, so all over whole UK charity voluntary organization, yeah, they get nominated, and there are various winners from each region. So our region, but say I think there were a few, and we were one of us. Yeah. And I think they chose us mainly because we worked towards integration. We worked towards bringing two communities together, reducing down the social, the racial tensions which were leading to crimes, and our youths were ending up in jail because they didn't know, the consequences of their actions. They were unaware about things that could happen to them. About society, gang fights and all that. So it's taken so lightly because we are used to that in Nepal. They were unaware about what could happen, plus what the process was if actually it happened to them. So I think a lot of those, and plus the earthquake effort, the help that we provided during the earthquake, Nepal Maudhari, that was quite a huge impact as well on the person deciding that, yeah, I think we were deserving of the award.
That's really good. And so you guys got invited to the tea party, Queen's Tea Party at Buckingham Palace. Wow. And then not only that, you got to see the royal family.
I know.
How was that? Did you see everyone from the royal family?
No, I was a bit disappointed because I went there to see Prince William and Harry, but they were not there. But I saw the Queen. I saw Prince Charles and Duchess Camilla. It was. So what happens when you win that award is that two representatives from your organization are invited to the Queen's Tea Party. And Queen's Tea Party is such a huge issue because in your lifetime, you can only be invited once as you. If your spouse gets invited, you can go as a +1, but as you yourself, you can only be invited once in the tea party. For civilians, this is. I think for military, they get invited quite a lot. For civilians, and there were a lot of us, and everybody wanted to go because it was a once in a lifetime opportunity. Yeah. So we were like, oh, what do we do? How do we decide?
Rock,
because
paper,
there were
scissors?
people, yeah, because
Rock, paper,
no,
scissors?
not rock paper scissors. I wish that's a fun way of deciding as well. But I don't know, I felt bad, but I wanted to go as well, because I was only involved with Naya Yuva in its 5th year. So there had been a lot of volunteers who were quite dedicated right from the start. And what we did was, let's be fair, so we put chitta. We wrote everybody's name, and we literally picked names out of a hat.
Right.
And it was the first president and my name that came up. So we both, we went to.
Nice. So if you want to go to that Queen's or the Buckingham Palace again, then you just have to hope that your partner.
Yeah, my partner
gets
does
invited.
something.
Yeah.
Does
Right.
achieves something so that he gets invited. Yeah, no
Okay.
pressure.
Let's talk about what you're doing right now. So you're doing your healthcare assistant, and also you're a project leader for Clear Project. What is Clear Project?
Clear Project is it's, oh god, this is bad being the project leader for Clear Project that I don't know the full form of Clear. It's community learning and empowering. I'm really sorry. This is very unprepared, but
that's fine. What is the aim of that project?
It's all about empowering the local Nepalese community and improving their financial capability.
Right.
And this project also came out of the needs that we were being presented with in the office. So a lot of people don't know, but our हाम्रो office ma चाहिँ every Wednesday, on regular days, we do have Nepalese coming in for help. So we help with anything and everything we can. But Wednesdays चाहिँ बिहान 10 बजेदेखि 12 बजेसम्म, we dedicate those time to Nepali clients.
Right.
So our clients are all like the most vulnerable ones, बाजे बजेहरू, who don't know English, उनीहरूलाई understand गर्नु एकदम गाह्रो हुन्छ, deal गर्नु गाह्रो हुन्छ.
Yeah.
So they come in with any issues that they have, such as about reading a letter, to dealing with HMRC regarding their benefits, or to seek help about a neighbor who's being abusive and racial to them, racist to them. Just the issues, we see a lot of complex issues as well, or simple issues. More complex issues, we book appointments with them, but it's like a drop-in. And we do that. So त्यस्तो ठाउँमा चाहिँ के इश्यूजहरू आयो भने चाहिँ we were getting a lot of recurring issues, especially पैसाको बारेमा. And then हाम्रो manager, our managers found out about this fund that you could apply for. It's funded by NatWest. NatWest, it was a community fund that they had. So our managers applied for it and explained that we get these types of issues from the Nepalese community. We definitely need help to get to educate or make people more aware about these financial issues. So and we got it, and it was first Monica was an advisor for Gorkha Welfare Trust. So she was the original project leader, but she had to move because of her husband, so she couldn't continue it. So my manager, who already knew me from the previous job, offered me the job, and I said, you know what, I'm actually, and it was coming to 2 years. 2 years is my limit to staying in one job. It was coming around 2 years to this job, and I said, okay, let me try, because it sounds quite interesting as well. So I went in. So we make people aware about anything to do with money. So drawing up a simple budget, to making them aware about warning signs of scams, or if somebody is struggling to pay debt, we teach them about what kind of debts should be prioritized, what kind of debts could make you homeless, what kind of debts doesn't make you homeless. And there are debts that are priority and non-priority as well. Or if they're struggling to pay those debts, then we do help them with we take on cases, हाम्रो office, let's say, and we deal with them. We deal with gambling issues, we deal with financial abuse, which is one of the main types of domestic abuse. So yeah, and then a little bit about saving money on here and there, saving accounts, what APRs mean. I recently did, which I always wanted to do, I recently did a workshop with sixth form students, 16, 17-year-olds, and I taught them about what credit card debt is. And I wish I knew what credit cards were and how to deal with it when I was young, because nobody teaches us that. Even local school ma or college ma, they don't teach that to you, because those are the real issues that we deal with in adult life, and we are not taught that. So I thought maybe I should do this. So it was a group of my niece and my friends.
So do you only teach Nepalese children, or is it?
It's a project that's funded for Nepalese community,
right.
Because they are the most vulnerable, and it's done in Nepali and English language.
Right.
So it's a bilingual project. But I think I don't mind doing it for the local British community as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just want to quickly change the topic and try something light, because we've been talking very heavy subjects.
Heavy subjects.
Yeah. So you like traveling.
Oh yeah.
Which we can see from your frequent travels and social media updates and stories. What's been your favorite place that you've been to up until now?
Oh, this is a hard question. It's like asking which one of your children is your favorite.
Right.
That's a very hard question. But I think I wouldn't say favorite, but one of the most. I travel a lot and I love traveling. I revolve my career around traveling.
Why do you love traveling?
Sorry?
Why do you like traveling?
Traveling, I think traveling is, I think, let's say it's trendy. I know for people, but I started solo traveling since 2010. It was the first time that I went, and I think when I say my favorite, I think it would be probably be China, because I went to China in 2010 on my own, and I was there for 3 weeks, and I was scared. I landed at the airport at 1 in the morning. I did not know the language. China ma mancheru at that, like oile pani chaina, because they don't really need English. They speak their language, and it's so hard for them to communicate in English. And I didn't know what I had put myself into. But I somehow survived those 3 weeks, and I went there as a solo travel because I wanted to see whether I could cope with such challenges. And I think it will always be my favorite, not because it was my first, but because that was the most where I learned. I learned a lot. I got a lot of culture shock as well. Thinking it's Asian country, I thought it wouldn't be that different from us, but it was like every day you would find out new things that would shock you. Plus, I also found out that I could actually, humans can actually cope with things when challenges are put forward to them, and if they're determined enough. And it was, and being a woman in a society like ours, where women are not that known to go out and about, and I think when I went there, I had doubts whether I could cope. When I came back a different person, and I went there as well because I was, I guess I was feeling emotional about things at that time as well. I was going through a very rough time in my life. And traveling is trendy now, but traveling for me is not about leisure. It's a necessity for me, because traveling heals me in ways that nothing else can. Traveling is like counseling to me. So yeah.
Very interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Let's go back into heavy stuff again.
Yeah.
Let's go into that dark corner. Like how they say life is like a roller coaster. There's ups and downs. What's been your lowest point in your life?
Oh, that I think it was quite nice that we talked about my first traveling experience, because that was around where I was the lowest in my life. And then I was feeling the lowest. A lot of things. Growing up, I told you I was a overachiever, always the first in the class, doing all sorts of things in schools. And I think that when you're that kind of person, your family, your society expects a lot from you. They expect that you're gonna be a world leader or something, and they'll be like, oh, Mina, you will go and do something someday. That's the type of expectations, and the more expectations you get, I think the more pressure you feel to perform better, and I think that takes a toll in people's, in the mind of somebody who doesn't want to do it anymore. I just didn't want to do it anymore. I just didn't want to live up to people's expectations. And it was not only about expectations of family, but it was also expectations of society. Because अब केटी मान्छे हो यसरी बाँच्नु पर्छ, or उता यस्तो दामी मान्छे उसले त यस्तो यस्तो गर्छ होला, all those expectations. And I think what I did and what people do as well, they choose their path somehow influenced by those expectations. Not necessarily what they want to do, but they choose it because people want them to choose it. And I see a lot of bhai-bainis, and I see a lot of people around me who are stuck in a job where they're not happy. They didn't choose it. They didn't want to study medicine, they didn't want to study engineering, but because their parents said that was one of the respectable jobs in the society, they went for it. And it's nice if you enjoy it, and it's a very good, it's good if you enjoy it and you learn it and you actually love it, but not a lot of them do, and not a lot of them actually have said fair, I don't want to do this anymore. And I think that's what happens. And at that moment I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And it was like my final year of uni as well, and I started thinking, I'm paying so much money towards studying, and working this hard, and all because I could sit behind a desk, get monthly checks, and live my life just like, that. And that thought scared me a lot. Being stuck to a desk behind jobs, working for companies, not being happy, not being able to do what I wanted to do, being judged, all those things. And then I was also going through a very rough time in my relationship as well, and I think they all took a toll on me. And I had I guess I had my midlife crisis before I even hit 24.
Did you fall into depression?
At that time I denied it, like everyone does who's in depression. I denied it, and right now I'm more than comfortable talking about it because I have dealt with those issues. I would be lying if I said I'm completely healed, but I am a lot better at dealing with my emotions. And I have days, down days where I will not want to do anything. But what happens now is that I have more good days than I have bad days, and I'm able to bounce back and recover, and I'm able to talk myself out of it. Yeah, and then that was when depression hit, and that was when I started solo traveling, and it healed me because it was a completely unknown world where people didn't know me.
Right.
You could be whatever you wanted to be. You could do whatever you wanted to do.
So the traveling was a way of healing your depression.
Yeah, and it was an accidental thing as well because I didn't plan it. I didn't think that before that I hadn't traveled much. And it sort of happened, and I actually enjoyed traveling. And then kept going on.
I just want to just focus on mental health again now. To be honest, mental health has become much more transparent compared to just even a few years ago. But still, mental health is become a stigma for most people. Why do you think that is?
Stigma, stigma चाहिँ हाम्रो सोसाइटीमा मात्र हैन, it's everywhere. I think first of all, just accepting that you're going through such emotions and that you're depressed is such a huge thing. A lot of people don't recognize when it's happening to them. I didn't, and I see people around me who are surely depressed. I can see the signs, but they don't know it. And it's so hard to recognize. Second, when you're feeling that low, you fear judgments as well from the society. Judgments के भन्छ, अब हाम्रो समाजमा के भन्छ भने यो त पागल हो टाइपको, अथवा यो त जे पाइ त्यही, अब especially for man, हाम्रो हाम्रो men in our community रुयो भने लाइक हुन्छ नि के आइमे जस्तो भएको त्यस्तो टाइपको भन्छ नि त लाइक देयर इज अ डिफ्रेन्ट इमेज पुट अन देम देयर इज अ डिफ्रेन्ट प्रेसर पुट अन देम अनि मेन्टल हेल्थ चाहिँ नट अ लट अफ पिपल टक अबाउट इट एन्ड आई थिङ्क being the first one to talk about it is always hard because you are going against the norm of the society, and I think there nowadays a lot of people are talking about it, which is nice
because of social media.
Yeah,
and
because social
internet.
media and everything. And don't get me wrong, but some people do actually talk about it because they want some attention for themselves.
Right.
And so that I've seen a lot, because I've seen in my volunteer work where people have come in like and then taken photos of them doing something and then left. That's the type go. But mental health genuinely raise awareness गर्ने मान्छेहरू पनि थुप्रै छ क्या, and that is quite nice, but it's still a very heavy subject for people to digest हाम्रो society-मा, plus in any society. So hard to digest, mainly because people don't accept it, people don't understand it, people don't know how to deal with it. Like if somebody comes and breaks down in front of you, like I like, you know, as a person, how do you deal with it?
You don't know how to
where
react.
do you start? You don't know how to react. Exactly. And you don't, and plus there is not much awareness about what help is available out there as well.
Right.
So I think there are lots of barriers why it still is such a stigma, but slowly it's getting there. Like
so we're coming towards the end. I've got a few questions that I ask all the guests at the end. So just focusing on that mental health issue again, what kind of advice or message would you give to a young individuals out there who is going through that mental health challenge?
First of all, though, I would say seek help, but seeking help is such a courageous thing. Like earlier you said Samaritan 19th time ma balla ule bole bhanera. That is a very real picture that you've painted of how victims, from whether mental health victims, whether domestic victims, you know, that's how they go through, that's what their process is in their head. And so it takes a lot of tries, a lot of effort and a lot of courage to seek help. So don't give up. And so find somebody who you can trust, who you think will not judge you for anything you say, and just, you know, speak to them. Speaking about it helps a lot. Like I've personally gone to counseling sessions. Like I've had counselors who have helped me deal with emotions.
Right.
And that's quite hard. Like I was quite fortunate because my office paid for it. But there are free services like Samaritans that you can actually call them and talk to them about things, and they will talk to you in such a non-judgmental way. And they're just there to they're just there as a pair of ears and you will find it quite surprisingly helpful, because दुःख बाँड्यो भने कम हुन्छ, सुख बाँड्यो भने धेरै हुन्छ भन्छ नि. That is very true. You need to talk about it. If somebody comes up to you and opens up about it, be non-judgmental. Just be there to support them. Even if you can't do anything, just hold their hand, and that will be more than enough in that one case. But you know, as you go along, it will be a lot easier. And I hope our society, and you know, the society in general in the whole world becomes a bit more tolerant and non-judgmental when somebody says that they're going through mental health issues. And I think that should be, you know, what we should be aspiring towards.
That is a great advice. What are you most grateful for in life right now?
In life right now, I am most grateful for so many things, but I think traveling will always be my biggest teacher. And life is such a you know, I think a lot of people think like I am grateful towards a lot of things, like my parents and all that, you know, what general people say. But I think I am quite grateful for being able to be fortunate enough to choose things in my life, and you know, and have people around me who have helped me through things when I was down, when I was low, and I had non-judgmental friends. I had friends are your, you know, the family that you can choose, and I am most grateful for them, and I'm most grateful for you know, people like you, or people like the volunteers in Naya Yuva who actually are involved in doing something for the society, who are involved in, making changes, are contributing. It may not be much, but together it will make huge changes, on हाम्रो society. And I hope people do, I hope more youths get involved in volunteering and all that. Yeah.
So this is the last question, but perhaps the most difficult question. Imagine you're at a funeral and there are a lot of people that you know, and you walk down to the front and you see that the person lying down is actually you. So it's actually your funeral. Now that's kind of a bit scary to think and contemplate your own death. But here are some questions. Just pick and choose which one you want to pick. Right. So when you leave this world, what would you want people to say about you, or what kind of impact would you want to make in the world, or what kind of legacy do you want to leave? Just pick.
I want people to think, oh, she's one person who lived the way she wanted to live.
Yeah.
That one stubborn child who continued her stubbornness, until she died, but she used that stubbornness in a positive way, and she did whatever she wanted to do without caring for any judgments that was flying towards her. And I think, but I would, the impact that I want to leave on the world, I don't know how to say this. It would be like blowing your own trumpet, but a lot of people come up to me and say, Didi, I am so jealous of your life, Bonsake. And I'm like, I don't see it, like, I'm just having fun doing my own thing, but people are like, I'm so jealous, you just do whatever you want to do, Bonsa. And I'm like, Baini Bhai, or whoever comes up to me, you can actually do it as well, just don't care about anything. The biggest person that you should care about, whose feelings you should care about the most is you. If you are your biggest critique, you are your biggest uplifter. So if you are willing to do anything, nothing can stop you. If you're not willing, if you're want to be tied down, you will be. So love yourself a little bit more, not to a point that you're selfish, but love yourself a little bit more, listen to yourself a bit more, trust yourself a bit more, and just close your eyes and jump into whatever you want to jump into. I want to leave, letting people think that you can actually do whatever you want to do. And it doesn't have to be great things, It doesn't have to be great things. It doesn't have to be considered great works, great projects, great work by others. It just, as long as you're happy, and you're doing good things and you're not harming anybody, feel free to just jump into whatever you want to do.
That's great. Very good final answer. You passed.
Oh, is that the only question? Yay! I should have watched your interview so that I could have some sense of what kind of questions I was gonna get.
Well, I knew you'd be alright because you're very good. So Mina, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on this podcast. It's been a long but very productive and very meaningful conversation. Hope to have you again soon. I've known you for some time, and definitely you are a free woman. Good luck with everything, your project and everything. Keep being stubborn in a positive, good way.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I will. I think sometimes my stubbornness sort of tilts towards being a negative, but I do talk myself back into it. Yeah, but thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure and an honor to be here.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to my channel and also press that or click that bell below so that it notifies you every time I post a new video. Until next time, stay hungry, stay positive. Take care.